What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Ask a CISSP podcast. So this is a weekly podcast episode to the other side of the firewall, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass cylinder breakers, those people of color who've made to the other side of the proverbial firewall. Speaking of which, with me, returning guest, I have Alan Wesley. So, Alan, your camera's a little fuzzy right now, but for those who are on the audio, Alan came to the show about, what was it, a month ago, maybe?
That was about a month ago.
Yeah, so we talked about your business, your background, your cybersecurity origin story. You are a veteran. We went through kind of your trek through the military into doing what you currently do, through contracting, private sector, all that good stuff. And I said we gotta get you back on the show because there's so much more to unpack when it comes to you and what you do, especially when it comes to the topic of artificial intelligence. You're like light years ahead of me when it comes to all these tools and cool stuff. So I just wanted to pick your brain, talk about the upcoming panel that you're gracious enough to invite me to, and then go from there. So how have you been?
I'm not sure what's going on with my camera. The focus is really bad, at least on my side. But yeah, I've been good, man. And really, thank you so much for the invite. First time on your podcast last month. It was really good. I'm a cybersecurity professional like yourself. I've been in this business for over 20 years, and so it's been amazing to see, watch your podcast, the guests that you bring on, Chris Abercon and Shannon Tynes. I really like the way you guys have that rapport. You start off with a news bit and you guys dissect it, and then it gets really fun. And so I think it's always really good to let people know that we're serious when we need to be serious, but we can be fun too. So the
Right.
career field can be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it started off with being long form content. So we were going for like 2 hours. And I noticed, like, you look at the analytics, it's like people aren't sticking around for the fun stuff. So let's break it down. And now
Mix the fun in.
oddly enough, or maybe not oddly enough, that's the most viewed episode, is the weekly rundown, the one where now we're talking about cybersecurity.
Mhm.
just talking. People really seem to enjoy that. But yeah, thank you for continuously to tune in, and we've been collaborating a little bit on LinkedIn and what have you. And now we have the upcoming panel, so kind of talk about, because I know this is an annual event for you now. If you could talk about kind of its origins and what do you plan on doing next with it?
So what happened was, I guess it was late December and the early part of January. Generative AI took off. It was a big deal, and so and when it took off, I had this notion. I was like, well, let me get some folks together. It was Dr. Hollis, and it was Charles Tyndall, and he's a podcaster in his own right. And I said, we got together, we had a discussion. I said, let's kind of, test the waters and see what people are thinking about this generative AI thing. And so it kind of grew from there. And then, we said, let's do a LinkedIn Live. I'm saying a LinkedIn audio. I've never done a LinkedIn audio event at that time. That was my very first one. And so it's not that hard to set up, but, coordinated it, kind of did like what you did, have an event flow and send everything out to the people that I invited. Everybody was really enthusiastic about it. So we had the event, and it was in April. And then here we are now. And I said, well, let's revisit it and just bring back some of the guests, one of the guests, and then we got three additional guests, yourself, Joe Montoya, and we have Ludwig Jones. He's an entrepreneur in his own right. And so you guys all agreed. So we're gonna go do this again. We had over, I think it was like 400 people that were on that first one. And in the scope of what people call an audience, that's not a lot, but it's a lot of. To me, it was a lot of people, interested people. I didn't expect that many people to join in. So it was really good conversation, and we talked about where it had, how it had exploded from in December into to April, and just talking about what it meant and how people are using it. And then I just thought it would be interesting to just kind of fast forward to where we are now and see how much has changed and how much we predicted actually came true, and where did the U-turns happen.
No, that's definitely great to see that you continue to do it, right? It's the follow up for me. So what I've noticed when I do my not necessarily annual things, but like when things happen again, right? I have to dig back through the archives to say, okay, well, this is what we were kind of speculating and pontificating
Mhm.
about whatever the subject is. This is how it actually turned out. And I not only do I like it because I'm having a conversation with my friends, so like we get to,
Mhm.
like, you called this one wrong, or I was right about this, but
Yeah.
also it's engaging for the viewership that has watched it. They get to see us follow up on something, and they're probably screaming at their radio when we're predicting it or giving a bad take or what have you.
Like
But
it's
no, I'm
wrong.
I'm very excited. I've never been part of a LinkedIn audio event, so this will be a first for me. So I'm definitely going to be learning a lot from you and your, I guess, veterans in that
Yeah.
particular
Yeah.
medium. So I'm
I
super
think we're all
excited.
gonna, I
Saying right.
where we because they're trying to gauge it and make sure that people can adjust to it.
Hmm.
The whole discussion about artificial general intelligence being the next step. I think OpenAI is well down that path. They just haven't release that publicly to the people because a
Right.
lot of folks, a lot of controversy around artificial general intelligence, saying the computers are taking over and now no one knows what's happening,
Right.
and so they're trying to waylay some of that fear, and just kind of gradually roll that technology out because I think they're far more advanced than they're letting on to the public.
So that is definitely an interesting take. So before we press into that, because I have questions for you, because I am like I said in our previous episode, way behind the ball, right? I adapted to it very slowly, but I just want to make sure people have it in their ears. So this LinkedIn audio event will be on Friday, the 22nd of March from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. It's titled AI Transform Cybersecurity's Leap from Inception to Integration. It's all over my page. I'm going to continue to advertise it, and I'll make sure I put it in the show notes as well. So for anybody who wants to tune in, I definitely would like, as many. If I can bring in more people, I definitely want to do that. Like with our powers combined, like because we all have really
Mhm.
big networks, we can bring enough people to discuss it. But to go into my question for you, so okay, let's say trying to think of it in um, patching terms or
Mhm.
beta revisions or what have you. So let's say that we're on 1.5, 2.0.
Mhm.
What you're basically speculating is that they're already at 3 or 4 or 5, and then they're just kind of uh, beta testing, making sure we're comfortable with it, seeing how
Mhm.
we currently respond to where it's currently at. But you believe it's much more
Oh, I think
advanced than
it's
what it currently
far
is.
more advanced than they're letting on. Chat GPT 5 is what was the witching hour, right? You get to 5 and you're
Right.
at AGI, and then when you're at AGI, the computers take over everything. And I don't think that's it, right? I think you still need humans in the loop
Right.
for critical thinking and decision making. But some of the capabilities, I don't know if you've seen Sora, right? OpenAI.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I cannot wait until they allow me to pay them money for that.
I know it's a far cry from Will Smith eating spaghetti, right?
Oh, that was nightmare fuel.
Yeah, right.
We speculate on our show that it's the end of a lot of side hustles because we always say
Oh,
that AI
yeah.
is going to be disruptive. It's going to take our jobs, things of nature. I don't believe that it's not a side net situation. But for those who are out there making B-roll, flying
Mhm.
drones around to take aerial shots, for those who are making even music that they're
Mhm.
licensing to YouTube and Canva and all that good stuff, the days are kind of numbered.
I mean,
I,
you just have to. I mean, but you have to transform, right? You have to roll with it. I mean, Tyler Perry, his $1 billion movie studio
right,
in Atlanta. He said he had an $800 million deal he was about to close on, and he stopped because he was watching Soar, and he's like, "Well, wait a minute. This is beyond CGI. This
right.
is movie grade
Yeah, it's
B
the same
roll. Yeah."
premise with some errors, right? But
Hmm.
then that's when you have the human being who comes in to tweak it. So I
Hmm.
definitely can see that. And then when I was talking to, I'm not sure if it was on the show or not. When I was talking to Shannon and Chris about it. Unreal and their virtual studios are amazing.
Hmm.
So that combination of Sora or whatever generative AI that'll be used on top of the virtual studios and actors already acting with those.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know if you saw The Last of Us. Like, they used a lot of virtual
I didn't see
screens,
that.
or
Hmm.
The Mandalorian,
Yeah, I
or
watched that. Huh?
Andor. Like, a lot of that stuff is not filmed on location. It's filmed in a studio with just Unreal
Yeah.
Engine and cameras.
It's
Yeah,
definitely it's gonna take some jobs are gonna go away, but they're gonna be replaced by people that know this technology. That's why people
right,
say all the time, generative AI is gonna replace people. I'm like, no, I think generative AI is gonna replace people that don't know how to use the technology, right? And the people that know how are gonna replace those folks.
right,
So, I always tell my folks skill up, but it's just amazing, and I think this is going to be part of the discussion. And you're such a good podcaster because I didn't even tell anybody when this thing was going to be, so
oh,
you actually didn't advertise the date when it was going to happen. But yeah, so I'm interested to see what people are thinking about that. I use a combination of tools, right? I'm not a podcaster, but I create content, and my content is based around kind of cybersecurity training, and I use a virtual avatar. And I've used it several times, and people are like, they have to look double, they have to look really,
right.
really
Yeah,
close.
I wanted to. Yes, that's definitely a topic that I want to jump into. So, if you had not told me beforehand, I would have saw it and be like, well, he's kind of stiff in this video. But it has your voice, it has some mannerisms. You
Mhm.
toss it to other. I assume those are also avatars.
Avatars.
That is amazing stuff. Like, so that's what I was talking to. Like, okay, I'm just starting to use it to help me with show notes, help me with
Hmm.
clips. You're already creating entire shows
Yeah, I
using it.
mean, and it's just me, and I can do it in like an hour, right? And this
That's
is the
crazy.
worst this technology is ever going to be because Hey Jen, that's who I use for my virtual avatar. They're fine tuning and upgrading their technology almost weekly. I get a new feature, I get a new capability, and they're telling me soon I'll be able to have two avatars in one frame, right? So we can actually almost be like in a podcast together, and I won't have to, hand
Right,
off. We can be in the same frame, and I'm like, wow, what can I do with that? I can do some stuff with that.
right. So how, not to give too much of the secret sauce away, but is there is there a, like a training that you have to do with it? Like, is there a session you have to do so it can pick up on your voice as well as your cadence and things of that nature? Like, how does it kind of mirror you for you to do
So
what you do?
it's not secret sauce. It's pretty easy once you get into it. I was
Okay,
standing in the bathroom mirror, and I've got LED lights around my mirror, so I've got good lighting in my bathroom, right? So I recorded myself for about 3 minutes saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, just
okay,
in different ways, in different tones, in different ways, and
right,
smiles. It's because you want to be able to, and then once you do that recording for 3 minutes, you upload it into their servers, and then their artificial intelligence goes and it maps your face and it maps your voice and your tone, and
right.
you can get a basic avatar, or you can get a fine-tuned avatar. Now, I wrote an article about managing your money, messing with these AI tools because you can go broke
Right.
fast, right? Because they all cost something. But
Ah, okay, gotcha. Okay,
pick a few good ones and stick with them. But the post processing, I fine tune my avatar, they fine tune my voice, and so it sounds just like me, and it looks really close to me. And
right.
there's some things you can't have your hands above your chest, right? You got to keep your hands below your chest,
Okay,
and you can't have big hand movements. But once you do all of those things and it post process it, now I have a purpose built avatar. All I have to do is type scripts, and then I type the script, what I wanted to say, and I can create the scenes. I can create like 10 scenes, right? And I can
right.
hand it off to other different avatars along, and I can do my intro, my outros, and just type the whole script. And actually, it's ChatGPT writing the script, right? And
Oh,
then I
okay.
can just go back and tweak the script how I want it, right? And what I find about using this technology is um, humanities, right? I was a humanities student, so I studied art, literature, language,
Okay.
poetry. So that's coming back around. People understanding how to use language. So when you're creating a scene, you have to
Ah, I see what you're saying. Right.
visually have to, how does this sound if people are actually talking? Because you don't want to just type it so it's just reading paper, right? So you have to have the colloquialisms, and you have to have the language and how you want it to
Right.
sound, so it can seem authentic once it's post processed and it's all stitched together. So it's a real craft, and that's why I say people aren't going to go away, because you have to be able to know how to use language to be able to get those kinds of effects.
The robot, so to speak, can only imitate art. It can't necessarily create art.
Mm-hmm.
So no, that's a good takeaway from that. Actually, I think that'll lower people's fears, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But now you have to learn something new. You should always be learning something new, but now I think we're kind of getting to the tipping point. Like you said, they're priority light years ahead of us currently. We just don't know it yet, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a matter of us adapting to it. So I'm very interested. I'm kind of scared to give my digital presence to the internet, so to speak. But then if
Mm-hmm.
you think about it, I think we have
You're all over the place, man.
550 videos on YouTube. So if they wanted to deep fake me, they could very easily.
Yeah,
It's already too late.
I wrote a separate acceptable use policy that I attached to my LinkedIn profile. If you read my about and you go to the bottom,
Okay.
and it
So
says,
I did see that. And I was confused because I didn't know you yet. So when I was reading, I
"Oh,
was
okay,
like, digital avatar. I'm like, what is he talking about?
yeah." So I kind of give myself some kind of a clause that says, if you hear me out there saying something crazy and it
Right.
looks like me, and you know me, then it's probably somebody that's probably hijacked my profile or something. But I
That is
mean, it's not going to
awesome.
stop anything. People are going to do what they're going to do.
No, that's very true. So I shouldn't be afraid. I have a very new podcast kind of career. I won't be replaced by an AI bot anytime soon. So,
Yeah.
but no, I like when it comes to the show notes and things of that nature. Like you're 100% right. Like I go through and I'm like, well, here's what I want to say. Here's a transcript. Please help me to write these show notes. And then from the show notes, I say, hey,
Hmm.
help me to trim this down to fit this specific platform. And then I
Hmm.
read it and I tweak it. So it's not AI generated, it's AI assisted.
It's
Yeah,
coaching, right? You have a writing process, you know how to write, and that just kind of speeds up your writing process
right,
considerably.
right. No, I mean that's awesome. Like for all those who are very interested in how this works, they definitely need to check out your content. I would say go to your LinkedIn, and then your company's on there as well. So Cyber
I got a
Explorer,
YouTube.
okay,
Yeah, so I got a YouTube. Just look up Cyber Explorer on YouTube, and that channel will pop up. So yeah, doing some. I'm having fun, right? And people are
right.
like, "Oh, you're gonna get hacked." I'm like, "If you don't think I'm in a database somewhere already."
Well, I
I'm
mean,
like,
we already
yeah,
being veterans, we're
yeah,
already like fingerprints and everything else, right? Like
DNA, yeah,
DNA, yeah.
yeah.
We're in every federal database. So
Hmm.
on top of now all this video content, um, which I didn't think about. So I guess it's better for you to own your presence in your avatar than to let somebody else control it. So I make just create one just so I can have my own license over it. Say, well, this is mine. So before
Yeah.
somebody else tries to scoop it up. But no,
Uh,
that is very interesting. So um, we have the panel coming up. This is an annual thing for you. You're deep into artificial intelligence. You're already generating content, right? So you're kind of a pioneer on that front. I'm trying to follow suit. They're still slightly uncomfortable. Like what I'm
a lot of
currently
people
doing, I
are.
love it. I
Hmm.
love what it's currently helping me with. It's like I didn't have to hire an intern or pay someone on Fiverr to generate things for me. Like what I told you offline, I use it to free up space, and then I was supposed to use that space to relax. And instead, now I'm creating unique thumbnails. And I'm making more posts.
Build up.
I've, I've opened more accounts. Right now, we have a Twitter, a TikTok, and
Mm.
Instagram. Just making clips. Like so, it's great. Like the more space you try to give yourself with the assistance, the more things you wind up trying to fill
But,
that space with.
it's interesting you say that, because I feel the same way. And what I was thinking about is automation, right? And I'm training myself on Zapier, right? Because Zapier does the triggers, right? If you're across 5 or 6 platforms, I find myself, taking my story that I wrote on Medium, breaking it down, turning it into something else to put it on
Right.
LinkedIn, and then taking that and putting it on the YouTube. And if I could just do integrations, right, find a few tools that'll help me, do the splicing and do the, what do they call it, thumbnails of your videos, and then you can create viral moments out of your video
Oh,
shot,
like clips and all that good
clips.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, and then trying to figure out how to manage all of that. And it's just me. And I'm like, oh, I got to do that with automation. I have to have some tool that'll go. And there are tools out there. Zapier is one of them that will do that. I just
Right.
have to figure out how to use it.
I need to look into that as well because I'm kind of behind the curve. Like I am using Canva, but Canva is a content planner, not a content manager. So I mean,
Mhm.
it's great for art assets, making thumbnails, and that good stuff. I wish they were paying me. I'm out here dropping their name,
Well, have
but
you?
yeah, I need an actual manager. Like you said, I need some orchestration built in there. Like it can only post to so many platforms.
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
wanted to cross the board, hour or so of posting all these clips. But now I would find, what would I do with that hour? I'm going to find something else to do.
Oh, something else will come
I'm going to
along
keep
and just
stacking.
keep stacking. Yep, what's in your stack? Yeah, I use a combination of Canva, HeyGen, and
Okay.
ChatGPT. I use Gamma to do presentations. That's AI generated. Canva has the scheduling piece of it, right, where you can actually schedule your content to go on different
Right.
days. That's what I did with the audio event. But it's not really deep, sophisticated like what you're trying to do with your podcast.
Right.
So again, you get so far and then you got to go look for another tool. And I start looking at my bank account. I was like, well, wait, how many tools do I have here? And how much are they charging me every month? So,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Yeah. But what I am learning though is what I said I was going to do this year is I pledged to the audience that I would put in maximum effort. Not to say that I was not uh, trying, but I wasn't trying as hard as I feel. I always felt like I wasn't doing enough with the podcast. Like we already have all the episodes. I make the same thumbnail and I just change the titles out. I'm not really creative with the titles. And now with the rise of ChatGPT and Copilot, I'm like, let me figure out how to set the prompts and how to ask it the right questions. And I'm already seeing uh, results. I'm already seeing more traffic. I'm already seeing just because I'm in more places. And like you said
Mhm.
with the clips, like I may never go viral because the content is not, uh, it's nobody falling down the set of stairs. It's not a cat playing a piano,
It's
but
cybersecurity or it's, yeah.
it's getting me way more views of the content, and then it's getting me feedback. Because if only 10, 20 people watch your video, they're only going to leave you like one or two comments. But if you start
Mhm.
to multiply that, you get more and more comments. You get people asking you questions, and it
Mhm.
just kind of it's a domino effect. It gets the train moving down the tracks, and then at some point, we're all Joe Rogan out here, right? Like,
Well, it's kind of a dual hat behind the whole LinkedIn audio event too, right? Because we're bringing together 5 people that have their own network of folks that follow them on
right,
LinkedIn. I've got 3,600. I don't know how many you have, and how many does Lojo have, and how many does Joe Montoya and Dr. Hollis. You create that mass, right?
right.
And so why not plug yourself while you're on there, because there's going to be a lot of people in that audience, right? So that's a new opportunity to reach more people. So
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. And it's helping me get out of my comfort zone. I'm very introverted by nature, and which is weird to say as a content creator because I'm always putting my face on the camera.
Hmm.
Um, but it's different. It's not me going to a keynote. It's not me presenting in front of people, which I can do. From being in the military, it always happens. Like, hey, Airman
Hmm.
so we need you to brief the general. They're doing a dog and pony. We need you to do X, Y, and Z. And you get used to
Hmm.
be able to do it in stints. But it's exhausting. It's a muscle that you don't necessarily exercise all the time. Like my one of my mentors, Jeff Lodick, he is extroverted. He's the guy I talked to before I started the podcast. He does keynotes and things of that nature, but that is his personality.
Hmm.
So by right, exactly. He enjoys it. Like he says it's like being a vampire. He feeds off all the introverted people
Uh-huh.
to do what he does. And he's right. Like you leave an introvert in a pool of extroverts for too long, your social battery is dead.
Yeah.
Like, I
Oh
just
yeah.
want to go home. I just want to lay down
Yeah,
and start over.
that's how I found out that I'm a pseudo extrovert, right? Because when I'm out, I'm on, but when
Hmm.
I'm done and I go home, my wife's like, "What's the matter?" I am completely drained. I mean, I'm
Right.
just done.
No, no, I definitely feel like last time. So I did a panel here in Tampa right after I retired, and I knew myself. I'm going to take a nap, and then I'm going to go. So I took my nap. I went. I really enjoyed it. It was a great event. But yeah, when I came home, I slept I slept through my alarm clock next day. That's how tired I was.
Mhm.
just because of all the energy you have to exude. I'm just like, this just doesn't come natural. So by doing things like you inviting me to the panel, it helps to, kind of strengthen that muscle to then hopefully one day be able, like you said, just to be on when it's time to be on.
I didn't think you were
Um,
going to say yes, honestly. I thought
oh no,
like,
so
you're
it's
going to say yes.
it's crazy. So I've been watching a lot of content and reading a lot about how you project what you want. Like if you say, "I want this to happen," and I'm going to write it down. I'm going to vocalize, and I'm going to tell somebody because now I am on the hook. Right? There's accountability there. So at the
Mhm.
beginning of the year, I was like, "Okay, what am I going to do this year? I'm not in the military anymore. Obviously, spend more time with family, more quality time." All that good stuff, right? Catching up. But I was like, what am I going to do for my business that I don't officially have yet? Like with the podcast, I said I'm going to do a one event, a panel of some sort, or what have you, every quarter. I'm going to have one guest every month, and I'm going to begin to actually generate content. I'm going to make clips. I'm going to make thumbnails. I'm going to do all that good stuff. And
Mhm.
then lo and behold, I jumped from the one guest a month to now I have one guest every week, two last week. And then I was invited to your panel, and then I was also invited to do the panel I did last fall. They wanted me to come back to generate some content for them and do another panel. So I already have the first 6 months of the year already booked, and all I had to do was write it down. Like this,
Yeah.
the 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 power of wish fulfillment. Like, okay,
Mhm.
I need to do something. I need to progress. Let me hold myself accountable. And then already, so I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, as soon as you sent it to me, I start chuckling. I was like, there it is. I asked for it.
And there it is.
There it is.
No, that's
So
good stuff. That's good stuff. I believe in manifest destination too. Is things you have to make things happen, right? And then other things will follow. The last time we were on, I mentioned this book, right?
yes,
And I wanted to actually show it to you. It's called The Power of Giving Power Away by Matthew Barzan. I highly recommend people go and read this because, especially if you're in corporate America and you're trying to figure out how to navigate, you have to understand the power structure, right? And its pyramid.
right.
And if you have an opportunity to influence that structure and kind of suggest and maybe turn it into a constellation structure, it
Okay,
eliminates some of this fear of black people or people of color replacing the majority of folks. When you're thinking about constellation of leaders, it's more about making room, right?
right.
And because you're not getting to a point in the pyramid, so there's not that competition, right? And then you surround yourself with diverse leaders. So I really recommend reading this book. It's got some really good tips in here. Yeah, and the other one I had was you asked about was this quantum supremacy by
Yes. So
by
I
Nietzsche.
saw you post a picture of it, and I actually watched the video. I believe it was by the author,
Oh, okay.
and he was discussing. Like, so here's the thing. I I love all things tech. I'm ready for quantum computing to not replace classic computing, but to be adjacent to it alongside it. But I understand the hustle.
Hmm.
So every time we go into a race, whether it be the space race, the arms race, or now the quantum race, it's always led by the military first.
Oh, yeah.
And the puppet masters are the scientists. They understand us too well. They're like, I can't get you like this. My opinion, but I
Hmm.
can't motivate the people because they don't find this interesting or intriguing. However, we need to be the first to the moon, or we need to be the first to have the A bomb, or now in this case, we need to be the first to have a quantum computer that can break
Hmm.
cryptography before our enemies do. And
Hmm.
now we'll achieve it hopefully in the near future, and then all this amazing technology is going to come out of it. But they get us
Yeah, they
every
do,
time. They're very
and he's
smart people.
good. Dr. Kaku is good because he makes it all relatable, right? Because I was
Right,
like, when I was looking at this book, I was like, I was kind of intimidated, and then I actually went out and started researching him. Yeah, well, he's relatable. I can understand. He doesn't try to be highbrow and talk over your head.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And so,
It was a really good video that I did see of him, and I now
mhm,
I'm interested in reading the book because I he didn't say that he had a book out for it. He was just someone asked him a question, right? It's like, hey, what
mhm.
do you think about this? And then he went into it. Um, so what So after reading the book, are you feeling as though that this is something that's going to be in the near future? Like, will we have quantum computers? Not in our homes, but realistically, will we have a quantum computer in the next decade?
So it all depends on who you're listening to again, right? These things are hype cycles, just like generative AI, right? You in this hype
Right.
cycle, everybody wants to be a part of it because it's new and shiny. But the actual reality of when it's gonna become practical, maybe a different timeline. I was at the Rocky Mountain Cyberspace Symposium last week in Colorado, and there was this gentleman speaking about quantum computing there, and he was very much downplaying it and saying, "Oh, we're years away from that." And I kind of have to balance that. But, I always tell people
Right.
be a critical thinker, right? Don't take what people tell you. I have to balance that with the way technology kind of leapfrogs itself in this phase that we're in right now, right? It's not like, decades ago when technology was kind of static. You had a big breakthrough and then that breakthrough lasted for a long time. Technology is just like leapfrogging itself. So I can clearly see a time, maybe in the next 5 years, that some huge breakthrough will happen with quantum and it will push us further ahead than we anticipated. So, yes, we'll be closer to having a full blown quantum computer. But to your point, it's not going to be something that you're going to have in your house. It's going to be in some kind of a cloud environment that you're going to be able to access uh, via
Right.
the cloud, right? To do that kind of computation. So, I think it's closer than people think. And
No, I agree. Hopefully, trying to bring up a video to ask you a question. So it's Marquise Brownling. So I don't know if you follow him at all on social media. Sharp gentleman. During the
I'll have to write his
pandemic,
name down.
right? He's like all of his videos deal with tech, right? Like he's really big into the tech space. He reviews new technology when it comes out. His name comes up during Apple events and things of that nature. So a lot of his stuff is phones and tablets and laptops. But he's a very curious individual, and he's allowed to see things that people don't typically get a chance to see. So he's able to actually go and
Yeah, I know who he is, and exactly who it is.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so he broke down quantum computing for me because I just didn't quite understand it. I am I'm no mathematician. However, the way that he broke it down was you have classical computing that won't go anywhere, right? We'll still have classical computers.
yeah.
It's their purpose is to break down large numbers. That's what they do, linear numbers,
Hmm.
and that's why it takes so. That's why it potentially will take so long for them to break cryptography, just because those numbers are so huge. He said quantum computing, on the other hand. So if you think of or you visualize a map. So classical computing was us going from um, chariots to having roads to ride them on, to building bridges and dams, and working your way towards trains, planes, and automobiles. He said quantum computing, that's not his job. His job is to take a deep dive and to start to make predictions. So he said, like, you think of all these other forms of transportation that we're using to gather information, to connect each other, and all that good stuff. He said quantum computing would be a submarine. It's it's going to the depths that we've never been before when it comes to numbers of predictability. Large numbers or large masses or large anything when it comes to quantum mechanics are all predictable. Even if they look random, there's still predictability there. So he said that this thing will be able to solve problems that we just don't even know we have yet, or predict things we don't necessarily know how to predict yet. Like to actually know if a storm is coming, to actually know if famine is coming or war will break out, things of that nature. So
Hmm.
I don't know if it'll ever really be practical to be in your home. I, I don't know, like, because I'm not a
No,
futurist, so I can't
yeah,
think of if anything I need that for, except for like, tell me what the lotto numbers are, tell me where to place my money for stocks. Like those are the only
yeah,
things that
right.
me as a dumb human can think of. But when you think of I can't speak. Geopolitics, when you think
Mhm.
of science in general, like they'll lead the way. So, will we ever need a quantum computer in our home? I just don't know.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be just like your phone, right? Your phone is reaching out to resources. It's it's
Right.
it's got its own internal processing, right? But for huge computational type tasks, That's all done in the cloud. I think this, quantum computing will be the same thing, right? It's
I see what you're
to
saying.
your point. It's for solving difficult, hard problems. It's not for day to day. Classical computers can handle that, but this threat of encryption, right? Post quantum encryption. That's a huge deal, and everybody's trying to be first, right?
Right.
Everybody's trying to be first because they've got hordes of data that they've already siphoned off and exfiltrated, and they're storing it somewhere, and they're with the hopes of having a crypto scheme that can break it, right, in the near
Right.
future. So
We'll see. But I'm definitely fascinated by it, and I hope it does happen in my lifetime, just so I can see what it could be used for. And a lot of the research that's leading the way, at least in his video, was in medicine. So like trying to find a cure for cancer, like figuring out why you have errors that cause cancer situations, or to predict how someone will heal, or to be able to kind of I want to say curate. I don't think that's the proper word, but to make a medicine more potent or effective for a specific person.
mhm.
Things of that nature, and predictability. So I find it fascinating. I can't wait for that future. I kind of attribute it to right now. I'm a toddler when it comes to the concept, right? When I was a toddler, I didn't know what a computer was for either. So,
Mhm.
it's something I'll have to grow into one day. But
So I think we all are,
we'll see.
Brian. I think we all are. The technology is moving so fast. Um, we're all learning, right? Some of us um, find something that's interesting, and that's how I learn, right? I find something that I think is interesting, and I'll spend some time on it. But then I'm always thinking, what am I losing, right?
Right.
What is it, FOMO? What am I FOMO? Fear of missing out because I'm focusing so hard on this one thing over here, and everything else is happening. I was like,
Right. And that's a funny concept to think of, because when I talk to my children about anything in the past, right? They're like, did you used to see in black and white? Like, no, that's but that's not the way it worked. But they're joking. But when it comes to, we didn't have we there wasn't a computer in everybody's home. There wasn't an internet. There wasn't like, yeah, the internet came on a disc. I remember AOL discs come to the house, and I didn't have a computer. Right, I didn't have a computer until I was an adult. I built my first computer after tech school. Like, these things weren't just always in our homes. So it's like, what will be the next thing that we're like, I don't know how we live without this. Because like, you take away the internet, like if there's a power
yeah.
outage, kids lose their mind. They don't know how to just play.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, the old folks aren't doing so well either. Because I tell you, I will get lost. I was in the infantry. I did, navigation courses, and I
Right,
couldn't find my way out of a paper bag. And so I tell you now, if I didn't have Google Maps, or
right.
I would just be completely, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. When my stint here in Tampa, I worked with Army Airborne, so I had to do field maps. Yeah, you're right. They had to find me every time. Like, I understand the
You're
concept, right?
right. You're
Here's
right.
here's a map. Shoot your azimuth, and
Uh-huh.
then there will always be the obstacle in the way. And then as soon as that happened, right? Like, I have
Yeah.
this thing. It's like, now you have to box nav. Now I'm in Georgia. Like, they're like, where did he go?
Where's it going?
So a lot of what they call a dead reckoning. Like, I would have to trudge through swamp so I wouldn't
Yeah.
get lost.
Walk that
That's
line. Walk that line.
that's hilarious. But yeah, I would be lost without GPS as well. So before we go into everything else, um, where we kind of unwind and have a more casual conversation. I'd say it's not casual, but less tech focused conversation, right? I wanted to do something new, so I should have talked about this at the top of the episode, and I forgot to. So it'll be in words, it won't be, or it'll be in writing, it won't be in words. But the show is called Ask a CISSP, and no one's asked me a question in a very long time. So I have two CISSPs, right? Like, you getting this gentleman who asked the question, he's getting two CISSPs, and I would like to ask his question, and then me and you can pontificate about, an answer that may. I don't think it's just going to be an answer that helps him, but I think it'll be the audience in general, right? Because some people are starting to go into tech. So a few days ago, I received a message from Christopher. It's titled "Transferring into Cybersecurity at Age 61." So he's a little bit later in life, right? And now he's
Mhm.
making the pivot into cybersecurity, which, Christopher, I commend you for following your passion. Because people are fearful of reinventing themselves. And here you are at the young age of 61 deciding to do so. So
Mhm.
his question: Hello and good day, Ryan. Any suggestions for getting into cybersecurity industry while I complete my certification through CompTIA Security Plus certification course? I was advised to apply for part-time positions, however, with no experience. How would you suggest I go about doing so so that when I complete my course, my resume shows relevant work experience? Peace and thank you, Christopher. So thank you, Christopher, for the question. I greatly appreciate it. And we'll get you the answer sooner than when this airs. But in the meantime, for the audience, okay, so I went through his profile. So Christopher is currently in uh, the hospital medical, I guess you'd say, career path. So he has a master's in health and healthcare administration and management. So I have some ideas of my own, but I wanted to bounce to you first to see what you think. Because I think his question is not only relevant because a lot of people are trying to break in with no quote unquote experience, but also he wants to have the experience on his resume by the time he finishes his course, as opposed to trying to wait till he finishes. Like I think that shows his maturity.
Yeah,
Like he
it
can already
does.
see the writing on the wall.
I think he's got an advantage of already having a rich career in the medical field, right? I would say find some opportunities to volunteer in the space that you're in now, in a a cybersecurity role, right? Even if it's just helping an auditor, right, or doing a control assessment, doing a side by side or a side by side or shoulder to shoulder on a controls assessment. I mean, HIPAA is a big thing, right, in the medical field, right? I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to leave the medical industry to be able to be working in cyber, and he can take advantage of the skills that he already has. But I would think definitely find some opportunities for volunteering where you are, or even outside of where you are. People aren't going to tell you no when you volunteer your time, right? Especially if you're helping, and then use that leverage that as some experience.
No, absolutely. So you hit the nail right on the head of where I was trying to go. Um, you're absolutely correct. Like he already has his foot in the door. So it's just a matter of saying, okay, when is our next high trust or even a CSF or whatever is coming down the pipe? Like find your information assurance or your cybersecurity team, and like you said, just volunteer your time.
Mhm.
Like paid work is always good work. However, if you're busy, right, you're going through the course, you already have. I'm presuming you're already performing those duties, right? Like maybe you're not,
Mhm.
and you're taking some time off to take the course, but you have a foot in the door other people don't. Like you already speak the lingo, you already know where all the skeletons are hidden, and now you just have to find out how that applies to some sort of audit or inspection. So like, yeah, I think you hit it around the head. It's just like, when is your next audit coming up? And now plug yourself into that team. And again, you already know how to speak the lingo. You just need to know how does the asset management work with this? How does the information assurance team provide these
Mhm.
artifacts and things of that nature to answer these questions? How is HR onboarding and offboarding, right? Like you already
Yeah.
know a lot of these answers.
Supply
So
chain for medical devices. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure he knows how that works, right? So
right.
yeah,
So now it's just putting that lens on it. Just like, okay,
Mhm.
now you've been like most than likely in your current role, you've been assessed or you've been audited. So now you already know how to think like a I was gonna say a victim, but a,
Depends on who your auditor is,
a person being audited, right? So
right?
now, yeah, now you just have to learn how they do their process, right? Like start to
Mhm.
look up, because I'm big, I'm biased, right? I'm big into the GRC space. Maybe you want to be a pen tester. I don't know. That's
Mhm.
not what I do. This sounds sexy, but I think GRC is where it's at for you because you already know the governance, risk, and compliance when it comes to your specific space. And medical, like I'm gonna break a lot of hearts. They're not in good shape right now. Like
Yeah.
every week there is a
Mhm.
pharmacy being shut down, or like I think it's tomorrow's episode. This will be in the past though, or this will be in the future. That'll be in the past,
Mhm.
where we talk about how CVS, Walgreens, GoodRx, the VA, and CVS all went down
Right.
for a day. Right, like they're just not necessarily functioning highly in that space. And now you already have a foot in the door. You already know the problems. Now you just have to learn how auditors come in to hopefully help you solve those problems. So yeah, so it's good to see like-minded. So
That's a good question. It's a really good question, and it's unusual. I'm glad you pulled that out because you don't hear somebody that late in their career typically saying, "I want to do a pivot to something like cybersecurity." So I mean, but the field is rich with opportunity. So why not?
right, exactly, and you're bringing your again all of these skills you picked up over time. You're more mature than a lot of the younger people in the space. So you already have those people skills. Those soft skills are really big when it comes to audits, right?
Hmm.
You have to know how to be able to talk to people. Like you can't come in here and kick the door in. You have to
Yeah.
be able to ask the right questions to not scare them away and make them not perform well. But
Hmm.
hey, I know things are broken, and I'm here to help you solve them. And here's the things I'm going to be asking you for.
Yeah.
And again, you already have knowledge in that space. So if they don't know how or where to find something, you can point them in the right direction. So now you're a consultant, right? You're
Yeah.
an auditor, an assessor. Like you can do a multitude of things. Again, like if you want to make that big pivot into like pen testing or something else like that, I think that would be a big swing. But not to say you can't do it. Like maybe that's your thing on the side. But based upon the experience I saw on your LinkedIn, I think that would be
Mhm.
the shortest of swings that will get you to the right place.
Yeah, and if if you're decent at what you're doing, right? I can tell you, I see people go from zero to hero in short spaces of time if they
Right,
got the right focus and they zero in on the right thing that they have a passion for, and they become the SME. Well, then they're the SME, right? Everything that has to do with auditing, they're going to go and find this person, and
right,
that just helps your career immensely.
right. Absolutely. It's a gift and a curse.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Just put it
true.
out
That's
there.
true. It is true.
But no, great answer. I'm going to make sure I send that to Christopher. So thank you for your question. And then if anyone listening has questions that you would like to bring up in the near future, please send them to me. And then I'll ask one of my fellow CISSPs or just cybersecurity professionals, right, on the show. Um, what their opinion of it is. Like collectively, we have decades of experience, right? So we'll be
Mhm.
able to help you out in some way. But to pivot, right? So the end of the show, gonna land this plane shortly. What do you have going on outside of setting up for the panel, becoming the generative AI guru that you're currently becoming, and just your 9 to 5? Like, what else do you have going on?
Well, my 9 to 5, it's changing now, and so I think I'm gonna get busier. I've got a graduation ceremony that I was asked to participate in with Webster University, where I
Oh,
teach.
awesome.
So that's coming up in March, and just working on my LLC. I thought, before I actually took that leap, Ryan, I was like, that's hard, and then I just started
Right.
poking around on ChatGPT, and I think ChatGPT is way better than looking for anything on Google because it told me exactly how to go and do it. And I have my LLC set up, and I don't know, on my cell phone in about
Right.
one evening, and I was like,
Really?
"Was that it?"
Oh, wow.
I
So this conversation is working out really really well for me. Like because I'm in the same space. I have this paralysis analysis
Mhm.
paralysis where I'm just like, that's a lot of information. I'm looking at all these checklists. Like, how does the VA want me to do it? How does Florida want me to do it? Yeah, why don't I just ask? Go straight to
Yeah,
the AI.
yeah, I did, and it told me step by step. I think it cost me like $300 all said and done
That's
to
it.
set it up. Yeah,
Oh wow.
now
Okay.
there's a lot of stuff that goes along with it because you got to
Right.
do your annual reporting, and there's once you dip your toes in, then you get sucked into the vortex.
Right.
But
Right.
it wasn't hard to do it. I thought I always LLC, but that must have took them forever, and it's like, wait, that was pretty fast. Is it done? You just
Oh
have to
no,
wait
that's
for your certificate and
yeah.
everything to come in the mail, but just getting it done through the state was pretty easy. So that's what I do with my off time. Just kind of
Okay.
continue to work on growing the LLC and having fun with my granddaughter. And
There you go. There you
yeah.
go.
Mhm.
Nothing's wrong with brand building. Again, that's kind of the mode I am for 2024. It's all about trying to capitalize. I have a lot of material out there. Like when I talked to Jai Salters, probably 2 or 3 months ago, and I told him how many videos I had out there, and he was like, you probably like, if you go to each video, you have at least one gem that you could pull out and then repurpose. I'm just like, you're right.
That's a lot of content. 500 videos. That's a lot of work, man. And when you just keep your head and keep plugging, all of a sudden you look up and you've got, 500 videos. That's a lot.
It's just being a creature of habit. Like once I have a routine, I will just keep going in that cycle, right? So we rarely miss a week where we don't post. Usually it's because of a holiday or a major life event of some sort. But for the most part, it's just every week, 5 episodes, just making that happen. So now I'm meeting people like yourself. I'm like, there's more content. Like I because these conversations are so interesting. I'm just like, it's more content. Like I have to somehow make this into something that can help somebody.
Yeah, but that's the fun part. That's what I find fun. I don't do podcasting. I thought about it, but I don't think I'm good like that. In that way, I'm probably better, more of a guest. But if I, the content that I do generate with the training videos and with my messaging and with the mentoring and coaching for the LLC, I'm pretty excited about what I'm able to do with the tools that I have and all the other stuff I'm thinking about I'm going to be able to do. So that kind of keeps me energized.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I look forward to again having you back on and doing the panel. Like, if nothing else, I tell people this platform not only kept me sane. So I started because of the pandemic. I was in Turkey, stuck in a hotel room for 2 weeks. It helped me to keep in touch with my friends, and now it's been helping me to just network, branch out. Like I've learned so much from so many people. I've met so many new friends, and I if you're not using LinkedIn to do something like write an article, write a post, post a picture, like something, you're missing out. Like the platform is really there to be helpful to you. Like I feel more comfortable and confident outside of the military because of LinkedIn than if I didn't have it.
Really quick, tell me about the lady that said you had a nice beard.
It was a sweet old lady today. It was funny because I a couple weeks ago somebody sent me a message. They were trying to sell me something, but they flattered me. They called me a cybersecurity influencer. And then I think it was today. I think you called me a people connector. And then I took my 2 sons because I have 3 kids, right? So Otis is a senior in high school, then Junior is a sophomore, and then my youngest is a grade schooler. So I took the 2 boys to the dentist, and the lady taking my youngest to the back to work on his teeth. She stopped and she looked at me. She was like, "You have a really nice beard."
Made your day, huh?
I was like, "Thank you." She was like, "No, really. Like, I see a lot of beards, and yours is really nice." And then she just took my son in the back and worked on his teeth, and I was like, "All right, I'm writing a post. That's hilarious."
Makes your day.
Made my day. Like I don't know what to do with my hands. As I did the Ricky Bobby meme where he was on ESPN and his hands kept floating back into the frame. He was like, "I don't know what to do with my hands." All these compliments, but no, it's been awesome. It's only February. It's crazy.
I know, right?
Got a whole year of now I've made this pledge, a whole year of generating content, working with you, working with Darren King Jr., working with Darius Phillips, Aisha Hollins, Chelsea Pierre.
Darius Phillips was 2 weeks ago. I saw his podcast. That was really interesting.
Yes, he's not only an entrepreneur like yourself, he also teaches like you teach, and then he has his LLC is in CMMC space. Like, he does all audits and things of that nature, but because CMMC is so popular right now, he's already gotten the certifications. He's already working towards one of the top tier ones. So he's definitely somebody that you should connect with as well. I put you all in. I tagged all of you. I don't know if that's good LinkedIn etiquette or not, but I was like, I'm gonna tag all my creator friends on this Black Speakers Network post because they've worked for me. I think like you were a referral from the BSN, I believe.
Yeah, I was a referral from BSN. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I believe in that platform. I think Black Speakers Network is doing amazing things. So I was like, here's all of my content creator friends. Blah. You should do something.
Was it Brad Olson?
Brian
Olson. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's probably going to punch me in my neck if he sees me again because I can't get his name right. But Brian Olson. He's really like prolific with his ability to be able to just connect
He
people,
is.
right? So I get those posts all the time about speaking opportunities, and it's almost like it's a smorgasbord. You get to pick and cherry pick the ones that you want to go apply to. So that was I find that really helpful. So that was I'm glad I actually got engaged with the BSN.
Yeah. I replied to somebody, and then he replied to me. So somebody brought up a topic on LinkedIn, and someone's replied to her was kind of rude. And that's very rare on LinkedIn because it's a professional platform, and I know who you work for, so you shouldn't come off as a jerk. So she said something to do with diversity and inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this person came off the top rope, and you tell he was not a fan of DE and I.
Yeah.
And all I did was reply back to her like, don't stop doing what you're doing. Like,
Mhm.
disregard this previous comment. Don't stop doing what you're doing. And then
Yeah.
Brian commented to me and said, like, basically like he liked it or something like that. And I was like, well, who is this guy? So I clicked it and I saw Black Speakers Network, and I started to read about it, and I was like, I
Mhm.
need to contact them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it all works out. Like, again, LinkedIn is amazing. Like, if you're not utilizing LinkedIn currently, you need to get an account. It's free. They're not paying me for that.
Mhm.
But it's gotten me a lot of like I said, I've gained a lot of knowledge. I've made a lot of friends, and I believe in the future I'll be well connected
Mhm.
to be able to move and pivot as necessary, because as we all know, the market is crazy.
It
So
is very crazy.
it's
Yep.
good to know a lot of people, because when one door closes, you never know where another window or another door is going to open. So
Yep.
and then LinkedIn, I believe, provides that conduit. So, but no, it was great. It was great speaking to you again. I got to get you back on the show. So always an open invitation. Um, and then obviously we're going to chop it up about the panel. So definitely everybody continue to be on the lookout for that. I believe I put down the advertisement, but it's March 22nd.
Yes. Friday, March
Yes.
22nd.
Yep. Between 4 and 6. So it'll be in the show notes. Definitely click the link and register. So hit up the podcast by all of our social medias that go by our name, usually the other side of the FW or Ask a CISSP. You can hit me up personally. I am RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, and Threads, and now Instagram. And you, Alan, where can they find you?
You can find me on Medium. You can find me on YouTube, my YouTube channel, Cyber Explorer, and you can certainly catch me on LinkedIn. Those are those only three that I can manage and juggle right now. So
Gotcha. Nothing wrong with that. And then if you have a question, that's the title of the show, right? So hopefully we get more questions to ask a CISP. So shoot those over to me as well.